Pete Hegseth's words just came back to haunt him in the worst way, because here he is in 2016 offering some wise words that ring especially true right now.
There are some guys at Leavenworth who made really bad choices on the battlefield. And I do think there have to be consequences for abject war crimes. If you're doing something that is just completely unlawful and ruthless, then there is a consequence for that. That's why the military said it won't follow unlawful orders from their commander-in-chief. There's a standard, there's an ethos, there's a belief that we are above what so many things that our enemies or others would do.
Quote, I do think there ought to be consequences for abject war crimes. I gotta say, it sure is interesting that Pete Hegseth would say that, considering it sure does seem like he just committed some. On September 2nd, the U.S. military struck a boat off the coast of Trinidad, and after the first missile hit, 2 survivors were spotted clinging to the wreckage. According to the Washington Post, Hegseth had given a verbal order to, quote, kill everybody, and so a Special Operations Commander, Mitch Bradley, ordered a second strike to fulfill that directive. Those 2 people were then blown apart in the water. Bear in mind, those 2 survivors were helpless, unable to pose any threat whatsoever, and yet Hegseth's directive was to kill them, which would constitute a war crime. And don't just take it from me, Republican Senator Rand Paul pointed the language of the statute out on Twitter. Quote, it is not permitted under the laws and customs of honorable warfare to order that no quarter be given, to apply lethal force to those who surrender or who are injured, shipwrecked, or otherwise unable to fight. And so surely, the same Pete Hegseth that we heard from in 2016 understands the gravity of this moment and won't just babble on with some jingoistic nonsense about warriors, right?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic because of what politicians and the press does to warfighters.
Oh, I think I'm starting to get it. So when you're a Fox host, you can go on TV and pretend that you have morals, and then when you get to actually put those principles into practice, suddenly they take a backseat to saying random vague things like fog of war, where apparently war crimes are okay because after all, who can think clearly in the fog of war with so much happening? Like, for example, sitting in an air-conditioned room in North Carolina pushing a button to blow up one vessel at sea. Yes, Hegseth himself might as well have been storming the beaches of Normandy. And of course, this flagrant disregard for the law was put on full display when the White House lost its collective skull after a group of Democratic senators gave the otherwise uncontroversial reminder that not only can you ignore unlawful orders, but that you must ignore unlawful orders. That is quite literally the law, which I discussed with Senator Mark Kelly here.
I said 5 simple words. You can refuse illegal orders. That's it. Donald Trump's response was that I should be executed, hanged, prosecuted. Now, Pete Hegseth and the Department of Defense coming after me under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's quite ironic. What we said was reciting the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Yeah.
And they're going to prosecute me under the Uniform Code of Military Justice for saying what is the law in the U.S. military. So this is, on its face, this is ridiculous. But it does have a chilling effect. And I really worry about service members, but also like anybody in the country, like everybody's free speech rights are in jeopardy when something as simple as what I said could get me executed.
Again, pretty uncontroversial. It's uncontroversial today, just like it was uncontroversial when Pete Hegseth himself said as much in 2016. And yet now, not only is Hegseth justifying ignoring the law by invoking the fog of war, but he's attacking the Democrats who made the same statements that he himself made in the past. The White House was actually asked about this resurfaced footage by CNN. Here's what Andrew Kaczynski had to say.
We did reach out to both the White House and the Pentagon about this newly surfaced video that we found. Now, Kinsley Wilson, that's a Pentagon spokesperson, told us that Hegseth has been clear and made clear there are already procedures for unlawful orders, telling CNN, quote, the orders being given to our military under President Trump are lawful, and the despicable video of the seditious 6 urging our troops to defy their chain of command was a politically motivated influence operation by elected officials aimed at sowing distrust and chaos in our armed forces. We also reached out to the White House, Aaron, and in a lengthy statement to CNN, Anna Kelly, that's a White House spokesperson, said that Hegseth has been entirely consistent in his position then, and added that Democrats are trying to deliberately manufacture doubt where none exists. They told us, quote, these lawmakers sow doubt in a clear chain of command, which is reckless, dangerous, and deeply irresponsible for an elected official. It's asinine that CNN cares more about the secretary's uncontroversial remarks than those of elected officials who are putting military service members in harm's way by telling them to disobey their commander-in-chief.
All right, Andrew Kaczynski, thank you very much. And of course, I should say the video said you don't have to obey unlawful orders. It did not tell them to disobey the commander-in-chief, I guess, unless there was an unlawful order issued from that commander-in-chief.
Of course, more obfuscation from the White House. To be clear, the Democrats didn't say to ignore orders from the commander-in-chief. They said to ignore unlawful orders from the commander-in-chief. There is a difference that Pete Hegseth himself once thought it important enough to say out loud. And yet now, the fact that they're taking so much offense to this otherwise pretty banal statement is a testament to the fact that that is exactly what they want to do. And lo and behold, blowing up ships and people with zero evidence that there are narco-terrorists on those vessels is exactly that. I don't think that you'll find too many people who oppose taking action against actual narco-terrorists, but when the evidence put forward is basically just, trust me, bro, then we are in effect legalizing extrajudicial killing at the hands of this White House. And for an administration that's already been shown to abuse power, perhaps it's not a great idea to give them carte blanche to murder people just because they tell us that the people who they've just blown up were gonna murder us all. Perhaps our standard should be just a tad higher than that. As for Hegseth, I don't need to sit here and explain why he's full of shit, because all he has to do is listen to his own words from way back when he was still capable of acknowledging some modicum of objective reality. So if Pete Hegseth is feeling defensive because of all the heat that he's been taking, he might want to take it up with a mirror. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.